Some people go to church don't understand that they can bind and loose just by assembling themselves. The devil don't want you to know that. The devil don't want you to have an understanding of binding and loosing. He wants you to think that you can obtain power all by yourself. That you don't need nobody. You don't have to go to a physical church. It ain't got to be a cathedral. He say 2 or 3 gather. The body bigger than the cathedral anyway. The body is worldwide. We got brothers and sisters everywhere. But just come together with your brothers and sisters and be in agreement. And then God said, I'm going to give you a key to bind and loose. That's God's perfect will for your life. To be able to bind and loose. And God over here in Acts 12, over here in the book of Acts 12, Herod had just had James killed, and they bind Peter until after Easter. But because Peter was faithful, he was diligent, because Peter didn't get bitter in his trials, he rejoiced to be beat for Jesus. When he got in a bind, them keys that God gave him in the gospel when Jesus walked with him, he said, Peter, you locked up in a natural prison, people all around you keeping you, jail keeper. Until after Easter, they plan on cutting your head off, Peter. And guess what God did? He sent the angel with a key and let him out. So I'm telling you, it's power in having faith. It's power in doing the will of God. And the Bible says another key is he give the Holy Ghost to the one that obey him. So to access the keys also comes through your obedience to the word. Don't just be a hearer of the word. You can't get a key. You can't get the key to the kingdom. You can't get the keys to victory. You can't get the key to what you need spiritually, financially, naturally. You can't get the keys sitting down on God. You can't get the keys mumbling and complaining. You can't get the keys cussing and fussing. You can't get the key. You get the keys by showing the love of God no matter what you go through. Just like I said over there in the book of Acts, he said through much tribulation, you shall enter into the kingdom of heaven. You shall have access to all the keys you need when you get in the bind. Peter was in the bind. The angel came and unlocked him, let him out of prison. And I come to tell you, Herod thought it was an inside job. He killed everybody around him. Thought it was a setup to let Peter out. But I come to tell you, God will reverse the curse. I come to tell you what you're going through. If you keep the faith, be encouraged, and keep the revelation of Jesus as Christ, as God, the Father, Son, the Holy Ghost, these 3 are one, the revelation of Jesus, and stand on the promises of God. Whatever try to bind you, you'll be loose from it. You'll be loose from that sickness. You'll be loose from poverty. You'll be loose from defeat. I come to tell you, and you can walk in total victory, and wherever you go, like Peter went, because he had the key. When he walked in a place, his very shadow healed people, because he stayed connected to the kingdom of heaven. And I'm telling about heavenly places. See, the heavenly places of God, I come to tell you, it ain't limited to one place. Heavenly places is a spiritual realm where God elevates you from faith to faith and give you more keys, more power, more authority, more miracle signs and wonders follow. I come to tell you, God want to give you the keys today. But you got to be a Peter. You got to be a Paul. Just like Paul was stoned to death. They killed Paul with stones. But because Paul had the revelation of Jesus, he knew Jesus as God. When God knocked Paul down and blinded Paul, and then Paul asked him, "Who art thou, Lord, that's speaking?" And Jesus said, "I am Jesus. I am God." After then, Paul had the revelation, I must die daily. I got to keep Saul dead so Paul can always access the key to the kingdom. Paul can always have victory because his enemy was always on his trail. He faced death many times, but because he had the keys over death, because he stayed in God's perfect will, he was obedient to God. When they stoned him to death,